how to live in the middle of this world. Objects everywhere, what to do with them. No animal is faced with this problem. They already know in advance. Somebody else has made the decision for them. Who has made the decision? Man has to decide. Spirituality is not about coming to lazy answers, having logical fallacies, taking assumptions as facts. If you can engage with the world from the right center, then life becomes benediction. The Bhakti saints would say, na kahu se dosti, na kahu se bair. Kabira khada bazaar mein, neither attachment nor aversion, na kahu se dosti. That honesty has a beautiful word for itself in Sanskrit, Satyanishtha. And there you see how close it is to love, loving the truth. The right relationship with the world. And the world includes one's own body and mind. That one would be justified in saying is the principal subject of all spiritual inquiry. How to live. How to relate to the world. Obviously, you cannot answer that question without first knowing what the world is, who you are. And from that flows the matter of relationship between the two. But the first inquiry is unlikely to be in the form of who am I? There is a dissatisfaction that arises from the experiences of life. And the question there is how to live. How to live in the middle of this world. Objects everywhere. What to do with them. Time too is an object. Time too is something that the ego seeks to consume. What to do with the limited time available, called as life. Getting it? So the verse answers that. What does it say? It says engage, and that engagement is not something you can ever avoid. What is born is engagement itself. Then how can the one born, the one embodied, avoid engagement altogether? Engagement itself is born. No? And the baby is kept on the bed as it is born. It is rocked in the cradle, breathes air, takes in food. Engagement itself is born. Ever seen a being that does not engage even for a split second? It's not possible. You remain engaged even after your death. Don't you? In fact, others do not want you to remain engaged anymore. So they would take you away and bury you or incinerate you. In fact, we have living beings here. If a dead one is present here, that one would engage us much more than the living ones do. No? Not just psychologically, actually very physically. Keep the dead one hidden. Doesn't matter. The dead one will find a way to engage you. No? Hmm? Just as some of us who are reluctant to take bath even in deep summers engage us in the same way. A nice, normal person, clean and showered, would not engage you. It is there, you need not pay attention. But a dead body in a closet somewhere, there, the session is done for Kanika now. Over. The cupboard is right next to where she is. Physically, we do not know, but psychologically, she is engaged. So that's what you're born to be engaged, and even that is an understatement. We said engagement itself is born. And because there is engagement, you also call it duality. For there to be engagement, there must be two. You are there and the world is there and there is a relationship. Right? And nobody knows what to do with the world. Nobody knows what to do with the body. Nobody knows what to do with time. That's a fundamental problem, no? What to do. When you do not know what to do, then you solve that problem by copying, emulating, toeing the line, having somebody at your head. Because you'll wake up in the morning and not know what to do. So it's good if you receive instructions. Do you see why most people are actually happier? Receiving instructions than being in charge? Because if you are in charge, then you'll have to originally answer the question, what to do. But if you are being bossed, then it's upon somebody else to decide what you will do. You would actually pay a boss for that. He or she has solved such an important problem. He has relieved you of a burden. Otherwise, it can be a very daunting, very arduous task. You get up in the morning, you have no idea what to do. Think of it. And you sit on the bed. What to do? And that's a situation you have to face not only in the morning, but every minute of the day, every day of the week, every day of your life. It is to answer that question that spiritual pursuit begins. How to live? What is this world? What do I do with it? I'm not an animal. Had I been one, things would have been simpler. No animal is faced with this problem. What to do? Ever seen a reflective dog? A pondering or ruminating bull? See? Chill. They already know in advance. Somebody else has made the decision for them. Who has made the decision? Prakriti. You could say their genes. Their physical material has already decided it for them what to do. Birds know very well. Moment the sun sets, they have to retire to their nest. They don't have to make a decision. The decision is ready made, sealed in advance. But man has to decide. Even the sunset is an object. You have to decide what to do with the sunset, what to do with the opportunity or the threat or the hollow that every tick of the clock presents. It's a question, not just a sound. It's 11:04:35. What to do? The bird knows, the spider knows, the fish knows. Man has to know. Man has to know. They already know. Now that is what is very exciting about human life, and that's also what is equally depressing about human life. You cannot be on autopilot. You cannot just let the slope of life roll you on. There is no slope. For the animal, there definitely is one. The gradient, the contour, everything stands pre-decided. Not in our case. When the question is lazily answered, then there are two quick answers. If you do not deal with this question with the respect it deserves, with the effort it demands, then two quick answers emerge indolently. First one is, there is this world, there is me, and I am defined by my senses. And every single sense exists to consume the world. So what to do with the world? Eat it up. Eat it up, put it in, put it in. It exists to be swallowed. It exists to be taken in. Simple answer. You don't have to work too hard to get to this one. Right? What do the white walls exist for? For my sake. As long as it pleases me, I'll take shelter here. Some moment of whim, and I may decide to splash them with some random color. Right? What does the tree exist for? As long as it pleases me, I'll go stand next to the tree, look at it, even hug it, take some fruit, smell the leaves, the flowers. And when the mood swings, I'll pick up the axe and hack it down. That's one straightforward and very lazy answer. The world exists to be consumed. And it is this answer that leads to the other lazy answer. When you decide that you have taken birth to eat the world up, You get indigestion. Right? You get diarrhea. As one gets on eating something that's not really meant to be eaten. You can swallow it, but not digest it. Even if you digest it, it is not good for your being. So after a while, you'll start feeling unhealthy, sick. So then you jump to the other extreme. The other extreme is renunciation. From consumption to renunciation. The world is a dirty place to be renounced. See, I've been vomiting all day and lose motions. And I just feel sick to the core. No, keep that away, keep that away. Let alone eat it. I don't even want to look at it. Yeah. Some waste this fellow has been eating since last 3 days, 5 days. And now you bring even an apple to this person, and this says, keep it aside. The world exists to be renounced. And there is some initial benefit in renunciation, definitely, just as there is some early pleasure in consumption. How many of us have experienced the early pleasure of consumption? You've seen how the senses, they want to thank you. You have not eaten since last 15 hours, 20 hours. Happens sometimes. And after 20 hours, you put the first morsel. Nirvana. And have you seen how nice it feels to not eat anything when you are sick? Have you seen? In fact, you get angry at someone who wants to feed you, force feed you. You tell them you stay away. No, I won't even touch the soup. No. So there is an early pleasure in renunciation as well. And it is the pleasure, the misplaced pleasure of consumption that begets the early pleasure, the initial pleasure of renunciation. Getting it? How many of you have experienced some relief upon vomiting? That's the pleasure of renunciation. I gave it up. Happens with me often. The head is spinning, the entire system is feeling lethargic. There's pain here and there. And then you vomit. And you vomit, and 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, the headache is gone. You're feeling lighter. And you can resume work. Does it happen or not? That's the pleasure of renunciation. But that pleasure, or at least temporarily we'll have to call that pleasure, but that pleasure is always preceded by the misplaced pleasure of consumption. Definitely you have eaten something that was either not meant to be eaten, or you have overdone the eating. Why? Because it was pleasurable. So these are the two lazy answers that we usually have, and these two answers are related to each other. The first one is what to do with the world? Consume. The second one is what to do with the world? Renounce. Spirituality is not about coming to lazy answers, having logical fallacies, taking assumptions as facts and theories as truths. No, that's not what spirituality is. It is not some dream stuff. It is not about what you believe in. It is about finding out. Finding out with a rigor that exceeds that of a scientist or an explorer. Finding out. And the result of that process of finding out, that's presented to us here in the form of the verse at hand. What's the result? Engage with objects through senses that are operated by the true self, Atma. Engage with the world. Engage with the world from the center of truth. Engage with the world subject to the condition that the engagement is driven from the center of truth. And if you can do that, then what you receive is blessings. The word here is Prasad. If you can engage with the world from the right center, then life becomes benediction. Prasad. A gift. None of these words capture the soul of Prasad. It's some special day. We were talking of having a dead one there near Kanika, and here is Prasad sitting right next to her, and we are talking of capturing his soul. It's all going a bit spooky today. You get this? Prasad. Benediction is a close word, but though not accurate. Gift, a present. Something beyond your expectations. Something from a higher dimension. That's what life becomes. If you engage with the world from the center of truth. Please understand, these are words that sound simple, but there is great depth. There is no place for renunciation of objects in spirituality. Get that very clear, very clear. The word renunciation does not apply to objects. If someone comes to you and says, I have renounced this, that, stupid. And that's what needs to be renounced. The stupid one within you. Stupidity is to be renounced, not objects. There is no object that stands as a candidate for compulsory renunciation. Nothing at all. You must know how to engage. And the world will come to you with all kinds of situations, tricks, puzzles, opportunities that look like threats. You're not to run away. Engagement is a must. In fact, even if you're running away, you are engaging through escaping. Even escape is a form of engagement, is it not? So engagement is a must. Stop thinking that you will be able to go through the business of life, to pass through this stream of life without having to answer some tough questions. There are no optional questions in this question paper. Every question has to be compulsorily attempted. Like our Gita exam. Not only every question, every option has to be dealt with. You cannot say out of the 5, there is only going to be one correct option, and I already know that the correct option is B. So why do I need to look at C, D, and E and F? Any number of options can be. You'll soon have a situation where all 6 options are wrong. Why not? If all 6 can be right, which they frequently are, why can't all 6 be wrong? Why not? You have to engage with every question and every option. That's life. You cannot say, no. I'm too good, too pure, too pious, or too much of a renunciate. Touch me not. The very sight of something will spoil me. That sounds something like untouchability, no? Something, rather somebody, is to be abhorred to the extent that even the sight is despicable. I don't even want to look at something. That subtle untouchability. We practice it, all of us. Certain things are to be kept not only at an arm's length, but utterly away. Life will not afford you this luxury. You have to engage with everything. And you need to have the right response to everything. In this context, one who is free from attachment and aversion. Attachment is the center of consumption. Aversion is the center of renunciation. Neither attachment nor aversion, neither consumption nor renunciation. That's Gita. Neither attachment nor aversion, neither consumption nor renunciation. I know how to live. I know how to have the right relationship with everything. I'll deal with the world, but from the center of truth. Getting this? Now you'll see how Vedanta inspired everything that came after it. The Bhakti saints would say, na kahu se dosti, na kahu se bair. Do you see? Do you see the 64th verse of chapter 2 there? Kabira Kheda Bazaar mein. Neither attachment nor aversion, na kahu se dosti. And the Buddha, much before the Bhakti saints had said, I don't have enemies because I don't have friends. I don't have enemies. Do you understand this? Have you seen how the ones with the most vicious, the most violent grudges against you are the ones who were once your friends? You seen that? If somebody has vitriolic animosity against you, that fellow is very likely someone you were once in a loving relationship with. Whatever the word love means. Is that not so? Consumption leads to the other extreme. Consumption leads to renunciation. Attachment leads to aversion. Love leads to hatred. When and why? When these things are not happening from the center of truth. From the center of truth, love is truth. From the center of truth, hatred is truth. From the center of truth, love need not turn into hatred. Getting it? What is meant by operating from the center of truth? At a very basic level, it means having respect for facts, not being dishonest to yourself. Acknowledging the fact of the relationship. Why do we not usually acknowledge the fact of the relationship? Because we do not want to acknowledge the fact of our own self. Because you are a great person, how can the relationship be exploitative? You're a great individual. How will you ever acknowledge that you are in an exploitative relationship? The urge to have an ideal about oneself The urge to preserve one's image in a way will never allow you to accept what the fact or quality of one's relationship is. One will have to pile lies upon lies. I'm marrying you because I love you so much. Sir, the fact is you're probably marrying exactly because you don't love. Because love has no insecurities. Love doesn't seek to possess or own. But you are insecure and you want to possess and you want to own, and you are not sure that the other person would continue to be with you without a social, religious, and legal arrangement. Therefore, you want to get into the marriage. But you will claim that you want to get into marriage because there is love. No, you want to get into marriage because there is no love. Because there is no love. Do you understand this? It will be very difficult to acknowledge the fact of the relationship. To acknowledge what the relationship is like, you will have to acknowledge what your interiors are like. You'll have to acknowledge that you're a petty person. Petty, loveless person, just hankering for security. Desperate for an assurance that the future will be all right. Therefore, you want to make arrangements in advance. Tie the cow. Otherwise, who knows? You might not find her there in the morning. Nights are tricky times. Do you understand this? That's what is called operating from the center of truth. There can be no formula for it. It's a very inner thing. It can at best be invoked, inspired, but never manufactured. Sitting in front of you with the Bhagavad Gita, I can just endlessly request you, beseech you to be honest. But it is not something that can be manufactured or even induced. It is a very, very individual thing. Because it's about acknowledging. And that acknowledgement is totally upon you. You will have to admit what things are like with you. If you do not admit that, things don't move. And it won't work if you are forced to admit. At gunpoint, I may get you to admit that you are a very fearful fellow. Now you'll admit that because you are fearful. If you are fearful, then at gunpoint, you'll obviously admit, yeah, yes, you are fearful. But that does not mean that there is any kind of real acknowledgement. A fearful person is anyway a slave to circumstances, right? So, as a part of the circumstances, somebody put a gun to your head and you confessed something. Acknowledgement is not confession. Acknowledgement is not something you can be forced to do. It is a thing of one's own dignity. It is the essence of everything, inner honesty. If that thing is there, everything else follows. Great auspiciousness follows. And if that is not there, then all else that you might have accumulated, even in the spiritual sense, is of no avail. Honesty. And that honesty has a beautiful word for itself in Sanskrit, Satyanishtha. And there you see how close it is to love. Loving the truth. Urdu you say imandari. A more revealing word is Satyanishtha, honesty. Devotion to the truth. Love for the truth. That's what is operating from the center of the truth, honesty. And this love is such a mysterious thing. It admits no coercion. If it's there, it's there. If it's not there, it's not there. Yes, one can create conducive environment. Yes, that can be done. Yes, one can invoke ahwan. But that's not the same as something being formulaic. You run the code and you get the output. No. No. No code, no trick will work. It's a decision. It is this decision that separates us from animals. The animal cannot be honest because the animal cannot be dishonest either. But you decide. Love is a decision. And if love is not a decision, then such love is just very animalistic. We have to get sufficiently deeply into this, otherwise, this stands as an opaque metaphor operating from the center of truth. Sounds nice, but what exactly does it mean? It means having reverence for facts. It means feeling insulted inwardly when you lie. When you lie to other, or when you admit somebody's lies. Therefore, it means having dignity. One could say, the entire spiritual process is about enabling the ego to gain some dignity. It is about seeking a life of dignity. We repeat, you will never operate from truth if you have counterfeit truths. Images being worshipped as truths. The man of truth has to be someone free of all ideals and images. If you are a good person, then there is purity in your love, right? What's that? That's an ideal. That's an ideal. Facts will rarely correspond to ideals. And ideals comfort us. Having respect for facts means having tolerance for discomfort. You must take a certain joy in being unsettled from your comfortable position. Now, this is something that you can practice. Love is not something that you can, but this is something you can practice. There is choice here. Put yourself consciously, repeatedly in positions of illuminated discomfort, not random discomfort. I'll not drink water the entire day. Not that kind of discomfort. I'll swallow the pen. Not that. He said, illuminated discomfort. Put yourself consciously, deliberately in such situations. When you will develop some taste for discomfort, then only you will develop some appetite for facts. Don't start resisting facts too easily or too early. Obviously, there is discomfort, so there would be resistance. But keep the resistance checked. Bear the discomfort. Take some pleasure in pain. There is some dignity, some pride in that. I'm using the word pride in an illumined sense here. It can be a beautiful word, pride. We are not talking of the usual kind of vanity. We are talking of dignity. In the right sense, pride is a great thing to have. Getting it? If you see that your potential is beyond your current situation, your existing limits, then remind yourself to feel insulted when you honor your limits. Remind yourself to not celebrate such occasions. Pride demands that you mourn it. When you surrender to the old kind of arm twisting or deep, dark tendencies or random blackmail. Train yourself to feel ashamed. And just as pride can be a very useful word, shame too can be a very useful word. Both of them are linked to the process of dignity. We cannot let this remain a mere abstraction operating from the center of truth. We have to get to the nuts and bolts, to the real hard facts of how the inner machinery works. Getting it? Learn to feel displeased for the right reasons. And learn to celebrate your victories, even if they are accompanied by pain. So there is ample space for wild partying in spirituality. Nothing is forbidden, no? But you must party for the right reasons. Challenged my fears, I challenged my limits. I stood through my discomfort. Now I deserve a treat. And even as you say that, you might find that your body is creaking, and your eyes are welling up. The animal within is feeling like crying. But still you must celebrate. That is something you have a choice. Learn, develop, practice. Otherwise, truth has to be the default point, no? Truth is not the default point because truth is impeded by ideals, images, forms, notions. This is how I am, and this is how I'm supposed to be. Now, both these statements are false. Neither are you the way you claim to be, nor is the ideal that you hold for yourself any good. Both of these are rubbish. But dropping them, even challenging them, involves discomfort, insecurity, pain, the danger of stepping into a void. Because when there is an ideal, then you have something you can lean on. The ideal is gone. What to do? You'll have to very ruthlessly see that all ideals are false. And that would mean being a renegade, being battered from all sides. Because all sides are sides of ideals, even if opposing ideals. And the one who learns to question ideals would get it from the left and from the right. Because in one thing, the left and the right are united. Both worship ideals. And here you are, questioning the most accepted things of life. Who am I? Why must I do this? Why must I do that? Where do I come from? Who made me? Why should a particular book be called holy? Where are the divine injunctions coming from really? Have these words really descended from the skies? Do the skies know a language, a particular language? What's going on? Questioning ideals. There has to be that inner courage, that inner freedom in which questioning becomes possible. So I was reading today that in the Indian corporate scene, at the entry level, the participation of women is close to 50% now. And what does entry level mean? First 5 to 7 years of service. And there you find their participation is 46%, 48%, which is almost equal. And then it drops steeply. At the middle management levels, women start getting absent. And then when it comes to the top, the C-suite category, there the participation is barely 10 to 15%. Why? Again, ideals. I'm a woman. There are certain things I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be educated, that's fine. I'm supposed to get a job, even that is fine. But then comes an ideal. Something else becomes more important. And then to decorate the ideals, we start using euphemisms. Say, she's a great caregiver. What do you mean by that? What exactly do you mean by that? So you must have a knack for questioning euphemisms, for stripping them naked. No, don't deal in abstractions, please, sir. What do you mean by it? Tell me very clearly. What do you mean by caregiver? Because idioms, metaphors, They were supposed to aid communication, but they are very deftly used to conceal things. Hmm? And when you have ideals, you can have no taste for facts. The fact will be kept hidden behind some acceptable metaphor. Hmm? Midlife priorities. So, what does that mean? Where do these priorities come from? You are just lobbing some word and expecting us to take it uh, at the dictionary value. Why such sophisticated and considered vocabulary? Why can't we be raw and direct? When you are being so careful and deliberate, doesn't that smell of deceit, inner deceit? Hmm? And then the article went on to say, no, you see, why are corporates chasing targets so much? Because women have caregiving roles, so they should be allowed to work 6 hours a day and spend the rest of the time in caregiving. What kind of idealistic cloud are you coming from? Which planet exactly? To defend one ideal, you want to counter the raw fact of life. The raw fact of life is strife and struggle. But you are saying, no, no, no. So that a particular ideal can be protected and sustained. Therefore, the fact has to be diluted or corrupted. You work 6 hours a day. Will the organization last? Please tell me. But to defend the ideal of caregiving, we are saying no. Organizations themselves should become more benign places. Why are you chasing productivity? Why are you chasing targets? Do you understand this? And why is all this being said? So that a particular ideal can be protected. What is the ideal? The woman is born to be a caregiver. Now, whatever that means. Changing nappies, breastfeeding, and all that. How is an organization not a caregiver? Please tell me. In the right sense, in the higher sense? Or are you a caregiver only when you breastfeed? Please tell me. How is the Bhagavad Gita not a caregiver? Please tell me. But we have ideals, and we are so afraid we don't want to challenge those ideals. We take those ideals as truths, frozen truths. Let's say fossilized truths. There are no secrets. there are just inner deceptions that don't allow us to see the obvious. If you are not hell-bent on deceiving yourself, there are absolutely no secrets in life. But when you carry lies within, images and ideals within, then these lies will not allow you to look at anything with clarity. Hmm? Everything will become a story, a false one, obviously. Because everything will have to be modified, everything will have to be retold to suit your inner lie. Stuff is happening all around you. This is the world of objects, and these objects are what you need to relate to. That's life. And you will have to retell the stories of all what is happening around you in order to protect your inner lies. Hmm? So, I'm a great person. I'm a great person, great, wise, learned. And here I am walking through the marketplace, and people are running hither thither, avoiding my being, my touch, my very shadow. They're running away. What's happening? Please tell me. I'm a very wise person. So, all these are fools who want to avoid knowledge. Therefore, they are just running away. Now, what's happening has been told in a way that protects your inner lie. Do you see this? You saw people were running away from you. And what's the inner lie? I am a very wise person. If I'm a very wise person and if all these people are running away, what does that mean? The fact might be that they are running away from you exactly because you are the most stupid person nobody wants to tolerate. Do you see this? Now the whole world becomes an enigma. Stuff happens and you can't make head or tail of it. No, sir. Things are obvious. Things are simple. But everything has been retold in a very false way so that the inner lie can be defended. I'm the most remarkable genius in the team. I come up with the most disruptive kind of ideas. And then in the first quarter, I didn't get any hike. End of second quarter, I was fired. And why did that happen? Now, the inner lie has to be defended. So that happened because my boss was getting insecure because of me. I am the genius that could potentially displace him. To save his own, he fired me. Do you see how everything can be appended, turned upside down? I was fired because I was the most outstanding genius in the team. So my boss grew insecure. Soon I would take his position. I was fired. Whereas the fact might be, you were the dimwit no one could bear even the sight of. And the entire organization petitioned to your boss to get rid of this one sample. Either you get rid of this one or relieve the rest of us. But then you will walk out like a martyr. You see, look at me. Now, why do we cultivate these inner ideals? I am the most outstanding genius here. Why do we cultivate that? Again, that will go back to your past. Maybe your grandmother once told you that if you are not a creative genius, I will not sing you a song or offer you love. And then you said it is compulsory for me to behave like or feel like or pretend like a genius. That happened way back in your childhood. You were told that if you're not brilliant and outstanding, then you won't be loved. So you soaked it in. You said, now all my life I have to behave as if I am the genius there. And that becomes an ideal you compulsorily carry. You cannot question it. And now there is no scope of operating from the center of truth, because the center has been occupied by an ideal. You must learn to inquire into these things. No ideal is beyond investigation. You must ask, what is religion? What is spirituality? What is patriotism? What is greatness? What is divinity? What is love? And these are the words we worship. We have been told that they are beyond inquiry. No, nothing is beyond inquiry. I want to know. Please tell me. Where do people come from? Where do ideas come from? Where do countries come from? What is really respectable? What is it that one can live and die for? Not that one is a coward, but one doesn't want to die for something petty. No? You have to be ruthless. You have to be shamelessly naked. You have to train yourself to bear the sight of nakedness, of the world as it is, shorn of all decorations, all deceptions, all the jazz. Mollycoddling, sugar coating. That's not the way of truth. And if there are people in your life who get offended by the truth, they are not people in your life, they are people of the lie. Who else would be offended by the truth? Please tell me. If there is somebody who cannot bear the truth, who is that somebody? That somebody is a big lie.